One thing that I've heard the average person say, well, if that was true, then I'd hear about it in the news. If that was true, they expect it to be on mainstream news. This illusion that's been created, I think it's been created so that they can control the narrative. At some point, you have to ask yourself, are human beings really that stupid? And if they really are, then maybe it is time that the human species be purged, because this is just a new order of magnitude stupidity we're seeing. We're witnessing things that absolutely defy every aspect of logic. You've got children that understand this and know it's idiocy. I mean, children are pointing this out. We're pushing the world to the brink of war. And it's not war between nations, it's war between people that know the truth and aren't going to put up with this idiocy anymore, and those that are trying to perpetrate this lie. Because the whole thing is, they want to make sure he who controls the narrative dictates history. There's a very important difference between stupidity and ignorance, right? Ignorance is curable. There are many people that are ignorant, but if they want to empower themselves with knowledge, they can cure that ignorance and become aware. They learn, they understand. And many of us are ignorant in many subject matters that we don't participate in or partake in on a regular basis. So that's okay. There's nothing wrong with ignorance. That's why we have institutions of higher learning. That's why we have, courses and people take. Regardless, there's ways of curing ignorance. Stupidity, on the other hand, is not curable. No matter how much knowledge you have, you cannot cure stupidity. And this is the point right now I think we're at. From a global society standpoint, it transcends geographical boundaries, religious doctrine, politics, ethics, everything. It comes down to those that are aware and those that simply stick their head in the sand and refuse to acknowledge the facts. And it's amazing to me that I've seen people on both sides of the political party become aware. And I know people that are highly intelligent that have continued to stick their head in the sand, to which I'm amazed, because I know that they're not unintelligent people, and yet they're stupid. And so intelligence has nothing to do with ignorance or stupidity. Intelligence is the raw cognitive ability to process information, but stupidity is a choice. Cognitive dissonance at a certain point is going to define whether a group of people or a species itself is going to ultimately survive or not. Censorship is real, and that's what they're doing. The one thing is that you can't censor the truth. The truth will always become evident, whether it takes a week or it's 500 years, it will become evident. You cannot suppress the truth. Sooner or later, it's going to come out. And I think in today's modern world, we complain about censorship, but think about this, and especially the social media channels. But because of social media and because of the internet, information can be transmitted literally in seconds anywhere in the world. And that's what's happened. People can become their own broadcast stations. And the modern day book burning of censoring videos is nothing different than what they did 500 years ago when they were burning books. And so I think people recognize that. And if you really want to see what the truth is, look for fact checkers that they've fact checked something, and there you know that you're getting the truth. That's the easiest way. So it's a great filter. It's a good way of determining where should I put my attention. If part of that's not just the social media, it's also mainstream media and how they're censoring, and then the social media ends up being like the secondary afterthought. One thing that I've heard the average person say, well, if that was true, then I'd hear about it in the news. Or if that was true, my doctor would be talking about it. If that was true, they expect it to be on mainstream news. And by not having it in mainstream news and having it on YouTube or on one of our own live feeds, whatever that case, whatever venue that we have, it gives the impression to the average person, oh, well, this information is just what they refer to as conspiracy theory, or that's just a loon, or that's just crazy, or that's just somebody that is trying to get their message across. And that's okay for us to be labeled that way. I'm not complaining about us being labeled that way. What it does, though, is it prevents the truth from being disseminated. They try to invalidate the truth with ridicule. So there's the three phases of truth, right? The first is ridicule, second is violent opposition, and the third is accepting it as always having been known as the facts. This illusion that's been created, I think it's been created so that they can control the narrative, and not just now, but this has been going on. This isn't a thing about right and left. It has nothing to do with that. That is a true statement. This is more to do with atrocities that are being committed, and the vast majority of the public does not know what's happening. They have no inclination to what the truth is. They have no awareness what the truth really is. These are parts of the narrative that the media has projected on us to let us
go down a certain pathway, because remember, he who controls the narrative dictates history. So they're trying to control the narrative by allowing us to only hear what they want us to hear, so that history is recorded a certain way that they want it to be recorded. But the truth is different. My point is very simple. I want you to become autonomous. I want you to have your autonomy. I want you to be empowered with knowledge, because once you're empowered with that knowledge, the one thing is that nobody can take advantage of you. Nobody can victimize you. Nobody can solicit you and take away from you that which is innately yours, which is your freedom, your rights, your own power, your own autonomy, your own abilities. That will make life incredible. That will truly empower people to be able to be more autonomous than you thought was possible. There's always a silver lining. So just because you're experiencing a hardship, I want you to remember that it's not about the destination, it's about that journey. And remember that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings, okay? That the fact that we're spiritual beings having that human experience tells us that we're here for a purpose. We're here to learn something. And yes, we can get enamored with all the hardships that we're dealing with, or the nonsense, or the BS, or the garbage. But remember, there's something here that is helping us, it's helping our children. There's a purpose behind it. We may not be aware of the purpose. We may not be fully cognizant as to what that purpose is fully representing at this point, but we will be later. So hold steady and understand that whatever's happening, we're experiencing it for a greater purpose. And each one of you, every single person out there, the one person that stands up and says, no, I'm not going to participate in this stupidity, don't think that that's not significant, because you become a beacon for the other 100 people around you that are watching. Do not underestimate the power of your stance to stand strong and stand up and hold your head up. So my point is, never underestimate the lesson that you are imprinting on others. Never underestimate that you standing up, maybe you think you're alone, but there are people watching you, and your actions are inspiring them to take action. Your actions are inspiring the children, the next generation, of understanding what's happening. Even if you don't see anybody watching you, and even if nobody is watching you, you are still setting that example, that inspiration, because energetically you're leaving a signature of what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it. Don't underestimate that, okay? Many times people think, oh, well, I'm just one person. It doesn't matter. It matters. It matters for every single person. Every single one that's standing up, it matters. So don't underestimate that, guys, not even for a moment. Your energy should not be plagued by fear in any way, fashion, or form. Don't allow fear to dictate your actions. Now, please don't misunderstand me. There's a very big difference between danger and fear. But there are many things that are dangerous. But when you allow fear to dictate your actions, that's when the problems arise. There's always danger, and to be cognizant of that danger and to maneuver around that danger, there's nothing wrong with that. But fear is something different, okay? Fear is the paralysis that you allow to sit in based upon your overactive imagination. Fear is actually being concerned about a potential future that has not occurred based upon your vivid imagination. It's actually where people allow their own imagination to empower their fear, and not realizing that what they've created, this demon, this something that they're scared of, it's a creation of their own mind, of their own imagination. And it's just as easy to make the decision that, hey, I'm not going to be fearful. And in fact, I'm going to focus my intention on the opposite of fear. What is the opposite of fear? Opposite of fear, guys, is love, not courage. People sometimes say, no, Dr. Buttar, it's courage. No, the opposite of cowardness is courage. The opposite of fear is love. The antidote of fear is love. So stay focused on love. Where attention goes, energy flows. Remember that. It's very, very important for you to remember that. So put your attention towards something that you love. Be in a state of gratitude. Allow your own energy to elevate and resonate at that theta level, because that's the frequency of gratitude and compassion, is the frequency that we want to be resonating at, because that's when we are able to then materialize and create. It is the empowering aspect when we're in that state of gratitude and compassion. It's not important what happens to you. It is not important. It is of no significance. The only thing that's significant is how you respond to it, how you react to it. That's what I want you to remember. Focus in on that. It's not important of what happens to you. It's important only what happens, how you respond to that, what happened to you. That's the only thing that's important. All right? Never quit. Always move, continue forward. Continuously forward. Continuously forward. One step over the next step. And before you know it, you will accomplish whatever that goal is, and then the next goal will come along.